What is up, my spicy gamers? And we're back with another tier list video after a long break. Kind of lost some footage again. Uh, we're only missing one of the waves of DLC tier list videos missing. So that's why I'm here. To make up for that. So I don't have any of the original of the recording, but I do have the spreadsheet with the scores that we gave it. So I'm now going to attempt to make my best attempt at, trying to explain all this. Yeah. Some of these scores obviously were not mine. Some of them were Tommy's and Arian's, so. Yeah, I don't know. So, let's start with New York Minute. Starting with, what was this, theme? See, and I don't even remember what I'm talking about anymore. Tommy gave it an 8. Uh, Arian gave it a 10 and I gave it a 9. I don't know, how to explain this. What do I even say here? I mean, who knows why Arian gave it a perfect 10. I think I gave it a 9, because it was definitely big city, like, you would expect, New York to be. I just felt that it just kind of felt like just a big city, and not necessarily New York specifically. And I guess Tommy held that against him more than I did. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there. Visual details, we each gave it an 8. Honestly, yeah, well, big picture was good on the big city. Again, they could have gone for a lot more details. If you have, like, Times Square, it would have been really cool if they had a lot more, like, billboards and stuff. And I think we were just kind of missing. For a big city, it felt kind of lifeless. And I think that's why we put it so low. Track and traps. Yeah, Tommy put it at a 7. Arian put it at a 7. I put it at an 8. There was definitely noticeable lack of traps. And I think the track just was kind of, it was both short and bland, and also just like it wasn't like pleasingly fun in any sort of way. I think I put it up in an 8 because I was enjoying some of the split paths and the changing paths, but I think especially at this point in time, we were starting to get kind of sick of the tour courses. The lap changing tracks was kind of wearing off at this point on us. And I think we just, I don't, those still seem a little bit low. There was probably some other issue that we had with it. They could have, let's be honest, could have been affected by how the race went. So I'm just going to move on. I don't know how to explain it any further. Then we have, what even is this? Oh, difficulty. Difficulty slash music. In terms of difficulty, Tommy gave it a 3, Arian gave it a 4. Yeah, honestly, kind of along the same vein as the track and traps. It was pretty bland, of course, which also kind of can make it difficult because it relies a lot more on your just like your straight pure Mario skill, than it would like your ability with that track in specific. Yeah, I never know the reasonings for rating difficulty. I don't even think about the difficulty, so that's going to be probably the hardest thing for me to justify. I gave it a 5 in terms of music. Pretty banger chart, not going to lie. Yeah, just straight banger. And definitely got the New York aesthetic with it. In terms of enjoyment, we each gave it a 3. To kind of translate, if we were just... So, there was an original version of all the tier lists that we did, of just the original 48, and that we just kind of just threw out a ranking for it and didn't give any justification to it. And this is supposed to be kind of taking from that, just kind of where we just put on a tier list without any justification. And like 5 is S, 4 is A, so like 3 is like B tier. So it's like, it's, it's okay. We'd probably not, we choose a number of other courses over it, but if we were forced to play it, we wouldn't refuse. Like I said before, it's kind of bland, kind of middle of the road. Moving on to Mario Circuit 3. we apparently hate GBA, or was this one of the original SNES? I don't even remember. Um, but we hate the 3. If there's a 3 on it, we're gonna hate it, apparently. And apparently we were in a real hater type mood with this one. Because for theme, we gave it, or Tommy and Aaron gave it a 2, I gave it a 3. And these are scores out of 10, by the way. Uh, yeah. I mean, honestly, the courses are pretty bland in terms of a theme, especially Mario. Like, there was, like, no Mario in the course. Um, for some reason, we put visual details higher, or at least they did. They gave it both a 5. I was sticking with my 3. Um, Again, these early courses are gonna lack that. Um, they just was at a lower graphical era. The game just looked totally different at that point. And so a lot of these older courses, unless they like completely restructured and redid them, tend to suffer on the visual side of things. Uh, in terms of what is this, track and traps? Yeah, I also did pretty bad. Tommy gave it a 3, Arian gave it a 2, I gave it a 4. Um, yeah, again, older track, they weren't as creative. There's just some boost, some little like oil spills in the way, and it's a pretty basic track. Um, Very unexciting and uninspiring. Like I get why they bring these tracks in because they're like, it's part of the classics, but some of them are just, I don't, I think they don't hold the test of time. It's very evident that they don't. Other tracks might, but I think some of the SNES and GBA ones don't hold up that well, and our scores are evidence that we don't have nostalgia to block our view with those. In terms of difficulty, Tony gave it a 2, Orion gave it a 1. Honestly, probably because it really isn't that difficult. Yeah, it probably was just a little too easy of a track that didn't really pose a challenge or really test your Mario Kart skills. The music was still apparently good. I mean, that is one thing that will hold the test of time is Mario Kart music, I guess. In terms of enjoyment, Tommy gave it a 3. Me and Arian gave it a 2. Because honestly, like we said before, not that enjoyable. A bland course that I would honestly I'd rather play courses that I hate more because at least they'd be more entertaining than that course was. Anyway, moving on to Calamari Desert, uh, which did a little better, not a lot, in some cases. In terms of theme, Tommy gave it a 6, Arian gave it a 7, I gave it an 8. I think I kind of remember a discussion coming up about the calamari part of this, which is either octopus or squid. Didn't even matter because neither of them really appeared at all in this. And I think some of us held it against that more than others. It's also possible that Tommy's lower score is 6 maybe incorporated why the hell was there even a train there, and you know why have it sent around a train and call it Calamari Desert? You know, like have it sent around a squid. Kind of questionable. I think it's a cool track. I like the train, but yeah, what is it doing there? In terms of visual details, me and Tommy gave it a 7. Arian gave it an 8. Like the desert, it was kind of barren. Didn't have a lot. It did have some things going for it. Mainly centered around the train, signs for it or whatnot. But to be honest, it was kind of barren. I guess some of us held that in more contempt than others. Track and Traps did much better though. Ari and Tommy gave it a 9. I gave it an 8. Honestly, it is pretty fun having to deal with the element of the train. There were lots of boosts. There is some split pathing that goes on in the track. Some shortcuts. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know why I gave it an 8 and they gave it a 9. I mean that is kind of the thing is there isn't really much in the way of actual like traps other than the train kind of interfering with you, but I don't know if that's. I think that's more of just a difficult track element than a trap element. I'm guessing that there was. I think we each took a point off for it being relatively short, and I took another point off for a lack of trap, or maybe it was the other way around. I don't even know. You figure it out. In terms of difficulty, Tommy and Arian agreed on 4, which I'd say is pretty fair. There were some good elements that will test your Mario Kart skills. You know, do you know how shortcuts work? Do you know how split paths work? How do you deal with the timing of the train? Um, it is honestly probably a pretty good starter course for people. I'd say 4 is yeah, pretty fair rating. I give it a 3 in terms of music. Didn't necessarily hold up to the um, desert theme as well as it could have. And I mean, it was okay. It just wasn't bangers. Just Mario Kart music could be a hell of a lot better. Because there's some pretty banger Mario tracks. Sometimes I gotta be pretty critical of music tracks that are just okay. Will be kind of a lower score because they're up against tough competition. And in terms of enjoyment, Tommy and Arian gave it a 5. I would give it a 4. Tommy and Arian really loved this course. You know, we all love trains, right? I give it a 4 because I think it's a pretty good course, but again, I think when you're thinking Mario, there are a lot of just really banger tracks. Even though I love Calamari Desert, it's just simply not one of my favorites. And so I chose to give it a 4 because I felt there could have been more. Could have been more exciting. Now we move on to Waluigi Pinball, which... Sorry, struggling to read here. Tommy gave it 10, I gave it 10. Arian gave it a 9 in terms of theme. Honestly, yeah, I mean, the Waluigi theme is all over the place. Lots of purple. You literally got a big Waluigi in there, lots of pinball. You're literally just racing through a pinball track the entire time. There's pinballs going all over the place. I mean, like, what is there not to like? Who knows why Arian gave it a 9? Probably just Arian being Arian, let's be honest. Who knows? I mean, I will point out that there's a lot of green in the color palette of that track, which is like, where's the green coming from? Maybe Luigi, since Waluigi is a rip on Luigi. I don't know. But I think Arian was like, nah, the purple doesn't count as Waluigi. There's got to be more actual Waluigi, and I think that's what he was getting at. In terms of visual details, though, we all gave it a 10, though. I mean, it really feels like you're in a pinball machine. I mean, they nail it. In terms of track and traps, me and Arian gave it a perfect 10. Tommy gave it a 9. I mean, honestly, yeah, the chaotic nature of the pinballs is kind of a double-sided coin. I think me and Arian really like that. I think it's a really fun trap. I think Tommy was maybe a little less feeling that. But the track is really fun. Plenty of boost, plenty of times to drift. But it doesn't let you drift too easily because you've got the elements of the pinballs coming at you. It's just really nice. In terms of difficulty, they both gave it a 4, which is fair. You know, it's... I mean, honestly, I think it should be a 5, but I can understand that the chaotic nature of the pinballs can maybe be a little much, even for seasoned players. That sometimes, you know, it's just they come up from behind, you don't see it coming, and now you're screwed. So I can kind of understand maybe knocking it off for that. Music was a 5. I mean, come on, straight banger. Some classic music. Felt like it would be music for a pinball machine. And in terms of enjoyment, we each gave it a 5. I mean, come on, it is such an enjoyable course. Hard set classic. There's a reason it's so popular. It really is so much fun. And like I said before, I think the chaotic nature of the pinballs really just hammers it home. Really tells you what Mario Kart's all about. Just chaos and luck. Yeah. Alright, now we got Sydney Sprint. For theme, we all gave it a perfect 10. We also gave it a perfect 10 for visual details. This was just really a visually stunning course to us. They really hit all the major landmarks of Sydney. I don't know how much it looks like Australia. We've never been there. But granted, it is, you know, centered around Sydney, a big city, so you're not going to see like the crazy wilderness that exists in Australia. You wouldn't expect to see that. But it was just a really nice course to look at for some reason. Don't know if we can just quite explain it, but they still definitely hit upon what they needed to hit upon for Sydney course. We each gave it a 9 for track and traps. It was a very satisfying course. Just like the shape of the course was nice. A lot of boosts. Um, there's that one particular section with a bunch of like ramps or humps or whatever you want to call them with a bunch of boosts as well. And that section is just so much fun. It's just a very satisfying course. For difficulty, timing gave it a 5, Arian gave it a 4. Um, I can see why perhaps Arian gave it a 4, kind of for the same reason we probably didn't give the track a perfect 10, is for a lack of traps. You know, because traps can also add a... He probably thought it was just a little too easy, and that's why he kept it as a 4. Thank you, screen, for reloading, so I have to scroll back to the things. That's awesome. Anyway, what did I give it for music? See, now I gotta find this again, so no one hell. For music, I gave it a perfect 5. Banger track. I mean, it sounds like peak Mario Kart track. I don't know what Australian music sounds like, so I can't necessarily say that it sounded Australian to me. Close enough, I guess. For enjoyment, we each gave it a 5. I don't know. I guess we just really enjoy this course. And it's just fun. You know, I mean, yeah, we always talk about traps being a necessary element, but at the same time, tracks without traps, can just be really fun. You know, you don't have the frustration of the trap randomly coming in and screwing you over or something. You know. So moving on to Snowland, we each gave it a 9 in terms of theme. I mean, obviously, it lends itself really well to a wintry theme. Yeah. I guess we probably just took a point off because it maybe could have gone a little more into it. I don't know. Maybe we're just like, we can't give it a 10 because Snowland, that's just it's too easy to just give it a winter theme. You know, I will say it was a little barren, which possibly, yeah, I don't know. For visual details, yeah, Tommy gave it a 9, me and Oren gave it an 8. That's probably because, yeah, again, it was pretty barren, in terms of the details of things. They definitely could have gone a lot harder there, and it would have also, in hand, elevated the theme. However, coming to Trek and Traps, we gave it a perfect 10. I mean, having the, like, dice blocks slide along the ice, things like that, you know, it's kind of what you expect from an ice course. You got the penguins, are the perfect element of chaos in terms of traps. Again, the shape of the course was really nice. Yeah, it was just a perfectly designed course that is what you would come to know and expect from Mario Kart. Now, in terms of difficulty, Tommy gave it a 5, thinking that it was perfect. However, Arian gave it a 4. Can't say I know what his problem was. He could have had a larger problem with the penguins posing too much of a chaotic challenge. Or he could have possibly thought the course was a little too easy, and that for an ice course, it should be a little harder. I don't know. Who knows what that kid's thinking at any point in time. So, for music, I give it a 5. I give it a 2, if I can read correctly. I gave it a 2. Yeah, I mean, for a winter course, they definitely should have leaned into the wintry sounds that you'd expect more. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, the music was the most barren part of all of this. Yeah, it didn't sound Super Mario Karty, nor super wintry. It's just kind of an all-around disappointment. I mean, it still wasn't a bad track, which is why I got a 2 instead of a 1, but, like, didn't really necessarily, help things. Enjoyment, Tommy and Arden gave it a 5. I gave it a 4. Yeah, first of all, there was a part in the course where it looks like most ice courses in Mario Kart where you can kind of like go under the ice into the water. That was a lie. Also, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the chaos of the penguins. I mean, I still thought it was a good course. 4 is still like A tier. I still thought it was a good course. I just think that it really wasn't anything special. Um, so I left it with a 4. Yeah, some of these like perfect scores, it's like they kind of got to be something special to achieve it. Sometimes we don't even really need a reason to knock a point off, other than that it wasn't special. And in the rigorous competition that is the Mario Kart courses of 8 Deluxe, sometimes that's all it takes. It's just you're just not that good. You just didn't have anything that went above and beyond. So on that note, moving to Mushroom Gorge, one we know is great. For theme, me and Arian gave it a perfect 10. However, Tommy gave it a 9. I mean, I don't know how you don't give this a perfect 10. I mean, it's got mushrooms all over the place, and it definitely has its gorge. It cuts through this mountainside. It's beautiful. Um, you know, he might have not been feeling the gorge part as hard, or the mushroom. Because we'll admit, well, you have a lot of mushrooms around and gorges around, it doesn't necessarily feel like the theme of the track centers around that a whole lot. So I can get it, maybe. But I don't know. It's kind of like how much more do you want out of this? But a 9 is still, you know, really good. So shouldn't no shame to that. In terms of visual details, we each give it a 9. You kind of have to admit, well, the track is a lot of fun. Visually, it's not the most complex thing. Outside of just the mushrooms and the gorges being big things, there really isn't a lot of small things that contribute to the look of it. I actually do think that the visual details are a little bit better in A Deluxe, which is usually the exact opposite case. But I think like the cave went from just a boring old dull dark cavern to they kind of lit it up a little bit, some like glowing gemstones on it, that I think gives a little more life to it on that side, and we still gave it a 9, which might be giving it a little too much credit actually. Considering that there's almost no visual details, I think it's, I'll admit, nostalgia lens plus it still just looks good. It doesn't even necessarily need the visual details. Yeah, if this isn't showing you how flawed the system of having both visual details and theme is two separate things, each worth 10 points is, yeah. Anyway, moving on to track and traps, we put it a perfect 10. I mean, the trap is basically just falling off the damn course. I mean, the track is so much fun. It's short, but not so short that you feel like, oh, it's over already. I mean, it is quite enjoyable, and you kind of wish it did last longer. But you just play the course again. I don't know. And there's plenty of fun stuff with the red mushrooms that bounce through the green that won't, the blue that make you fly, the kind of just not even split paths that you can take in the mushroom cave, because it's kind of, you can just take whatever path you want with those mushrooms, and it's just that ability to choose and mix and match to try to maximize your pathing is just so much fun, and something that really no other course offers. So yeah, perfect 10. In terms of difficulty, they both gave it a perfect 5. I mean, kind of like I was saying, you kind of have it becomes very down to your skill and your pathing in the moment, and it allows, I think it's not inherently a challenging course, so new players won't get frustrated, but I think experienced players can make a lot of risky maneuvers with big payoffs that'll put them in first, like they should be. Music, I gave it a 5, banger music. Really what you come to expect from the Mario Kart course. I think the music is as classic as the course itself. And enjoyment, of course, we all gave it a 5. I mean, the course is just so much giddy fun, and I think even outside of the nostalgia lens, it's still a really good course that is just a lot of fun. I mean, the reason that we have nostalgia for it is because we played it a lot as kids, and the reason we played it a lot as kids is because it is just so much thrilling fun. It is anything and everything you'd come to expect from Mario Kart course. And to finish it off, we have Sky High Sunday. In terms of theme, me and Arian gave it a perfect 10. Tommy gave it a 9. I mean, I think this is one of the most visually appealing courses ever that they've made. I mean, it really slaps you in the face with this theme of this Sky High Sunday. I mean, you can clearly tell you're up in the sky. There's sundaes and desserts all over the place. I guess Tommy wasn't feeling the sky in the sundae as much as he wanted to be, and gave it a 9. I don't know. I mean, I feel like if he thought about it enough, he'd realize that, like, yeah, we're up in the sky. That's the sky element. And yeah, sure, maybe there isn't a sundae everywhere, but it's all stuff related to a sundae. Even just, like, ice cubes. But, you know, whatever. In terms of visual details, though, we did all give it a 10. I mean, you had to with this course. I mean, all the sorts of desserts that made up the entire track throughout, whether it be ice cream or, like the wafer cookie bar things. I don't know what they call. I don't know what they're called. You know, ice cubes, all sorts of this stuff. Yeah, but I think honestly, the visually most appealing courses are one of them. I mean, they really went hard on it. Track and traps, we each gave it a 9. The track is very satisfying, a lot of boost, a lot of split pathing, a lot of that stuff. However, I mean, yeah, you can fall off, but it's not a huge threat if you're not stupid and you know how to steer your cart. You can stay on, so there really isn't much in the way of traps, but, I mean, you go hella fast because there's plenty of boost. But they could definitely have done with even 1 or 2 small traps. I think would have been able to give it a 10, but in terms of difficulty, they both gave it a 4, which understandable. Again, like we said, like, well, there's a lot of boost and you go very fast, and there's split pathing and whatnot. Lack of traps really kind of, it makes it a little too easy. You need to put a trap or 2 in there to kind of add a different element in there other than just go fast. For music, I gave it a 3. It was okay. I mean, again, against Mario Kart music that's just good is gonna end up with a 3. Like, you gotta be great to be a 4 and excellent to be a 5. Now, in terms of enjoyment, we each gave this 5. I mean, this is a fun course. I mean, if you just want to go fast, play this course. I mean, that's what racing's all about, right? Just go fast. And we really enjoyed that. So that kind of wraps it up. This was honestly a DLC pack of highs and lows. Some really great courses in there, like Waluigi Pinball, surprisingly Sydney Sprint, Mushroom Gorge, and somewhat a surprise, Sky High Sunday. I mean, honestly, just kind of having had looked at the course ahead of time, I could kind of see that. I'm like, I think this might be a pretty fun course here. Sydney Sprint was a complete surprise to us how good that one was. And some letdowns like Mario Circuit 3, but overall, pretty good DLC pack, honestly. I forget how many bangers are in this one. But yeah, that's kind of it. Make sure to like the video, comment down below, subscribe if you will, and stay spicy, gamers.